Hello kids, today let's read the book Hansel and Gretel from the first readers. First reader stories have simple sentences which helps the child enjoy their reading time. So once upon a time there was a little boy and a little girl. The little boy was called Hansel, the little girl was called Gretel. Hansel and Gretel lived in a cottage in the woods. So this is Hansel and this is Gretel. They lived in the woods. Hansel and Gretel lived with their father and stepmother. They were afraid of their stepmother. Hansel and Gretel were hungry. "We have no food," said their father. Their stepmother said, "Take the children deep into the woods and leave them there." So this is the father, this is the stepmother. She is not very kind to Hansel and Gretel and they are very afraid of her. Hansel and Gretel's father was afraid of the stepmother. He did not want to leave the children in the woods, but he said to Hansel and Gretel, "Come with me." And so off they went into the woods. But he is not happy about taking the kids to the woods. But again, he is also afraid of the stepmother. So he has to follow whatever she says. Their father left them deep in the woods. Gretel was afraid. "We are lost," she cried. "Don't worry," said Hansel. "I dropped some stones. We can follow the stones and go back home." So Gretel was very upset and she was very worried. She was also afraid to be in the woods all alone. So Hansel was like, "Don't worry, I have dropped some stones here and we can safely get back home." He is saying, "Don't worry." So Hansel and Gretel followed the stones and went back home. When their stepmother saw them, she said to their father, "Take them deep into the woods and leave them there again." Then Hansel and Gretel went into the woods with their father. He left them deep in the woods again. Hansel and Gretel, they went back home. So what is the stepmother saying? She is asking the father to leave them again in the deep woods so that they can't get back home. Gretel was afraid. "We are lost," she cried. "Don't worry," said Hansel. "I dropped some crumbs. We can follow the crumbs and go back home." But they saw the birds had eaten the crumbs. So this time Hansel had some breadcrumbs with him, which he had dropped all the way while they were walking. So he was thinking, we can follow the breadcrumbs and we can reach home. But when they saw, the birds were eating all the crumbs. Hansel and Gretel were lost deep in the woods. Then they saw a little house. The house was made of sweets. "We can eat this house," said Hansel. This is the house. This was made of all sweets. But a bad witch lived in the house. She put Hansel in a cage. She made Gretel work for her. The witch gave Hansel lots of food. She wanted him to get fat. "I want to eat you," said the witch. So she started feeding him. She gave him lot of food so that he will become very fat and she can eat him. And meanwhile, she gave lot of work for Gretel. One day, the witch wanted to cook Hansel in a pan. She made Gretel put a big pan of water on the fire. But Gretel pushed the witch. The witch fell into the big pan of water, and that was the end of her. So cleverly, Gretel pushed the bad witch into the big pan of water. Then Hansel and Gretel ran home. When they got home, they saw their father. Their stepmother had gone. He was very happy to see Hansel and Gretel again. They were very happy to see the father, and they all lived together happily. So, this is Hansel, Gretel, witch, house, stones, bird. And you have some questions. So, where do you think Hansel and Gretel live? They lived in a cottage in the woods. And who takes Hansel and Gretel deep into the woods? Father took Hansel and Gretel deep into the woods. What does the witch do to Hansel? The witch gave him lot of foods so that he can become fat and she can eat him. Yes, because she is a very, very bad witch. Hope you all like the story. See you again soon in the next story. Bye bye.